I saw this on a Black Mirror episode, and it had Jesse from Breaking Bad in it, Aaron Paul, and basically it was like this futuristic place where you have these two guys in space, and one of the guys, like, his whole family dies or something, and they're able from space to like go and like put on this thing that connects them back with their family. And so you have this guy who's like beginning to grieve because his whole family has been like killed. I may have just gave it away for you, but whatever. And then you have the other guy that's happy because he still has a family. And so he starts to feel bad that his friend is grieving. And so he says, you know what, you can go and see my family. And I'm smiling because it's like because I wanna like paint this picture of like grieving, and that being like a process of actually letting go. And whenever you are surrounded by people that have a predisposition, I think, of holding on, like trying to make the most of something. But grieving doesn't seem to be the place where you try to make the most of anything. It is the place where you let go. And I think you have to actually go through grieving. And it is very best for the person to go through grieving. It's very best for people to be in that place. And I think this is where God will isolate you for a season, for a time, and bring up all of the things. And in isolation, it is good because you don't have people trying to cheer you up. Because what ends up happening in the episode is the guy grabs onto that family and says, no, I want this family now. Right? Because you put a man in a desperate place, he's going to do desperate things. It's a basis of survival. He doesn't want to go through grief. But this is where I feel like the Lord, he has it where like there's it's not like there's no options, but like you're being shifted now. You're being transitioned. But in part of you being transitioned to a new place to receive new things, you have to grieve the loss of old things. You have to go through that. The versions of you that are not going to live past this point have to be grieved, right? He seems to be very, very good at that. He seems to be very, very conscientious about a person's well-being and what it takes for a human being to actually be healed and healthy and whole again. Right? He's not just like like whenever you like break up with someone, it's like you just go try someone new. It's like you need some time. You probably need some time because grief sneaks up on you and we don't know how to deal with that thing. And a lot of people have their own processes with that, but it's not something I believe that you can get a handle on it. I think that we all grieve in different ways, but the Lord is really, really good. And I think this is where he will draw you away, and in isolation you will grieve. And he draws you away from the people that don't know how to be with you in your grief, right? Because they have not grieved. I think one of the evidence of someone who is not grieved, or kind of like this mindset of holding on to something, right? Someone who is trying to put on the face every day because they feel like they have to, pushing themselves. And I feel like the Lord's like, no, like these people are trying to hold on, but I'm teaching you how to let go. So I will separate you from people that are trying to hold on. And this could be very insidious because it can be very much in the church, and I feel like it definitely is in the church. This covering, these Christian clothes that I talk about, this you having to put something on. And he's like, no, I'm teaching you how to take this off. These people are trying to hold on to your faith. I'm teaching you how to let go, to show you that I'm holding it. These people are trying to hold on to their hope, but I'm showing you that I am your anchor of hope, meaning you have to let go of it and something has to die to give it the proper stages of coming back to life. Like it has to die before it can become resurrected. So if you're holding on to your life, it can't really be resurrected. So you're not going to know him as the Redeemer and the Resurrector. You're going to know yourself as the one that's holding on to that life. But like back to like the show or whatever, like say the one friend didn't want to see his friend grieving, and so he's like, I can help you here, right? I can fix this, but it's a temporary fix, right? It's like taking a pill or something. It's like, yes, it was nice in the initial stages for this man to let this man go and see his family. He felt very grateful, but these little visits are teases to a desperate man, a hopeless man, right? He's like, I want more time. I want more time. I want more time. Of course, because you've given him the option to not have to go through grief. And I think this is why God will isolate you from people, is they'll be like, no, you don't have to grieve this. Or we can try to be cheerful here. Let me cheer you up. Let me take you out. Let me be with you. You know, you can call me. I'll answer the phone. We can talk about it. We can talk about it. But eventually, you have to face that. And I don't think you face that with other people, like fully or whatever. Like you face it with God, right? And I think that's where the anger comes up at God, the appropriate anger, right? And all of the feelings that I don't think men and women around you are qualified to be with you in that space. So he will take you away and say, no, it's time to grieve now. Phoebe Bridgers, man, I was listening to her every single day, it felt like. Crying every single day, like 2021. I think it was 2021. And then I stopped crying every single day. I don't know. But I was crying like every single day, it felt like, listening to Phoebe Bridgers. And I was grieving. And I needed to grieve to be in this place that I'm in now, which I don't know where it is, but it's not where I was, right? And so God seems to care so much about the well-being of an individual. He's like, you know, other humans are like, oh, all you have to do is get this and then you'll have that. It's like, no, but you won't have the well-being of someone who is healthy enough to be able to possess this blessing because you have not grieved, because you have not been taken through a process of repentance. You've not been taught that letting go is showing you that I'm holding it. Like you have not been set free from your burdens. You have not been set free from the things that are in you. You have not learned that I do not shame you for the things that come out that you were taught to keep in. No, you have to let this go. So I bring you to a still place, a dry place where there's no other thing to do than to grieve. And grieving takes time. But this is the very best thing for you. This is where God will be with you in that. And he doesn't try to cheer you up in that. He didn't try to cheer me up anyway. Instead, he put on my sadness. He was with me in sadness. He was with me. We were both men of sorrow. I felt that. He had joy because he knew something that was coming, but I didn't know. And this is where it was faith, right? But at the same time, like, he was in that sorrow with me. Like no one else could be in that sorrow with me. And I'm grateful to have gone through that with him. And that I wasn't around people that were trying to cheer me up all the time. Right? Projecting this way, which appears to be a really good life of just holding everything together. But on the inside, you're just like, your like voice is like so muffled, because it's just like you need to get that stuff out. That stuff has to come out, you know. And so that episode really was just like great, because at the end of it, he ends up, you know, saying, "This is, I want your family now. I can't do this anymore," because he was in a desperate place. This is what the Holy Spirit was showing me in that episode. Let them be desperate. Let them be hopeless. They have to pass through that. Let them feel desperate. Let them feel hopeless. Let them grieve. They have to pass through that. That's the very best thing you can do for another person. Seems to be the very best thing that you can do for yourself. And I think God will do for you what you can't do for yourself, and what you don't know to do for yourself, because you have not been taught to put yourself, to value yourself in that way. So he will value you for you, and take you away from people that don't have the same value for themselves, and so they're not going to value it in that way. They're going to try to like put something on you. They're going to try to cheer you up, and maybe in the interim you feel good, but you don't really mature because you're just rely upon a person that cheers you up every time you feel uncomfortable, every time you feel sad. But no, you have to pass through sadness. You have to pass through hopelessness. You have to pass through that despair. Come out on the other side and see that you went through it. And it took everything out of you. But now you don't have the things that you were carrying before. And you're truly in a different place because God has washed you of the past and the former things. It wasn't just trying to cover them up.